Yeah, hello and welcome back to the new Flutter series over here. And in this series, we'll be learning about the Hive database. Hive is basically a NoSQL-like database for your Flutter application, and it makes use of a key value pair. It's quite similar like the other NoSQL-like database where you make use of a key value pair, and Hive is a similar one. We have to make use of a key value pair whenever you want to store or retrieve the data, and there is no any SQLite schemas, or there is no like tables and all of those stuff. The only thing that we have to make use is of a box. The Hive make use of a box. You can think the box similar to the SQLite, the table or the schemas, and we have to create a box whenever we are using Hive, and using that box we can store and retrieve the value. Like, let's say if you want to have a let's say you want to have a students, and you want to have teachers. So there in SQLite these are two different entities, or you have to create a two different tables over here, or the schemas, right? But in the Hive we have to create a box, and that box will be of a student box and employee box or the teacher box over there. So this box is stored in, whenever we open this box it gets stored in our memory. So that's why it's relatively fast, because we get access directly through the memory itself. We don't have to go to the database location or the file storage to get read and write the value, which takes some time, right? But the whenever the box is open and it put inside the memory itself, then whenever we read and write from there, it's relatively fast. And you can also go to the benchmark that they have made. So let me open the benchmark over here, and you can see that the Hive has always a 0 millisecond, which is impressively really good, right? You cannot have a better than that one. It's just a 0 millisecond. And you also have a SQLite, which takes obviously you have to write a lot of queries, and whenever you're writing queries and fetching it from the SQLite, it takes time, right? And then we have a set preference. It's also a 0 millisecond whenever you are reading it from it. But on the right side you have they have done a 1000 write operation, and also of a 1000 read operation. The Hive, you can see it has a 0 millisecond over here too. And also the SQLite, it takes a bit time to write to the database, and the set preference, takes it takes quite a long time than the SQLite too to write it to the set preference. So this is a benchmark they had performed, and it's relatively impressive because you get a 0 millisecond, which is relatively fast, right? And if you go back to our documentation over here, it's mentioned that it's a cross-platform and it supports for mobile, desktop, and a browser. And SQLite also do support all of those, but for the desktop and the browser you have to package it yourself. It's not included by default, right? So you have to package it yourself. But the Hive there is no requirement for all of those stuff. And just now you see the performance is relatively fast, because as I mentioned, everything is done through the memory, and we don't have to access it through the file system. That's why it's relatively fast, simple, powerful, right? And also provide the encryption. Later we'll also see about the encryption, how we can encrypt the Hive database. You can use some sort of the AES encryption, and you provide a key and to encrypt and decrypt that value. And it's relatively simple to use the secure NoSQL-like database using the Hive. And just go through the documentation too, because you will learn a lot of stuff whenever you are reading the documentation. So I just recommend you to go and read the document, because they have a relatively good information, or they have put all of this stuff together in their documents. It's a really good document, I guess. It's they have all of the information provided over here. So the next thing is that how do we add this particular dependencies to our Flutter project. So we have to create a Flutter project for that one. Currently we haven't created any Flutter application, and on the next step what we will do is we'll just go and create our Flutter application. Then we'll initialize all of our dependency over there. So make sure that you go and read the documentation on the pub.dev about the Hive, as well as their official documentation on the docs.hivedb.dev, right? So it's relatively good to have a documentation and read through it before you get started, because you need to understand some of the concept over here. And we'll meet up in the next one. Till then, have a great day.